Hello, I'm James Harvey, the professor of music theory at the College of Southern Nevada with 5-Minute Music Theory. This is going to be the first in a small series of videos on diatonic harmonic function. Quick word of warning, I'm going to be using a lot of terms here, and the sooner you learn these terms, the better, because this is the series of terms that I'm going to use to refer to all these functions from here on out. First, we're going to take a nice simple key, C major, and we're going to look at the most common and most important triad or harmonic function in C major, and that's the one that's built from the first scale degree. The chord built from the first scale degree, and we're going to start by just referring to triads. Sevenths don't really change the function, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So we're just going to talk about the diatonic triads. The triad that's built from the first scale degree provides the tonic function. So this is the name of the function, tonic. And that's if it's in root position, first inversion, second inversion, whatever. It performs a tonic function. The tonic function is home base. Everything revolves around this tonic. Imagine tonic as being the center of the universe, per se. Let's do this. So I'm going to go over to our blank screen. I'm going to actually get rid of that one because I want to write this a little bit better than that. We're going to do two versions of a harmonic progression chart. The first one, I'm going to write it. I'm going to make sure we can see it nice and easy over here. Here's our tonic function. I'm going to circle it because it's important. And I'm going to put a little dotted line with an arrow. And what we're going to do is we're going to, over this next few videos, we're going to create a chart here that shows sort of how the chords flow and how they usually are used together. And I'm going to do two versions of it. Here's the first, and then here's the second. So what that top one is showing is that the tonic triad can go anywhere. That's what the dotted line is referring to. The tonic triad is a home base, and then following the tonic triad, anything can happen. And here's our tonic over here function. Let's head back to our staves, and I'm going to show the second most important harmonic function, which is the one built from the fifth scale degree, which in this key would be G. And that's the dominant triad. Chords with a dominant function go back to tonic. Now the thing is that this is specifically the dominant triad, and it performs a dominant function, but it's not the only chord that actually does perform this function. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to write a little box here, and I'm going to put dominant in that box. Anything in that box can flow into tonic. And then in the lower version, I'm going to do a new rung. This is sort of like an onion or a rainbow, depending on how you're feeling that day. And I'm going to put dominant over here. I'll just do DOM. There is one other triad that can perform a dominant function, and it is the leading tone, which is the one built from the seventh scale degree. Gets a little tricky when we're looking at major versus minor. We're only going to look at major first. So this is known as the leading tone function. Leading tone. And that's specifically the chord built from that leading tone, the one that's 1/2 step below the first scale degree. The thing about the leading tone chord and the way that it functions is that it also performs a dominant function. So I'm going to put that leading tone in the same box as the dominant with a little arrow pointing to the dominant. Now the reason I'm putting that is because although both of those perform dominant functions, there's a hierarchy. The dominant chord, which is the 5, please don't refer to it as 5, refer to it as dominant. It gets too complicated if you try to use the numbers. That dominant chord and the leading tone chord both perform a dominant function. What that means is that they both lead to tonic. So I'm going to put that leading tone chord here in our rainbow as well. So we now have our basis for tonal function. This would be the equivalent in English of the beginning of a sentence being capitalized and then punctuation at the end, like the period at the end of a sentence. Those are not very interesting, but they're necessary in order to create a sentence. What's interesting is what happens in between those. So tonic and dominant are the edges, the required edges of our musical sentence, I guess you could say. So in the next few videos, we're going to cover the next few functions, but these are the two most important functions that we have in tonal music that we need. They're absolutely necessary in order to contribute to maintain, and create a tonal center, which we need in tonal music. Thanks.